My beloved child, pause right here, don't scroll, don't blink, because something just shifted in the air, and you felt it. A live broadcast. Millions watching. Cameras flashing. The world tuned in to hear Elon Musk speak about the future, about rockets, artificial intelligence, humanity's next leap. And then, in the middle of that stream, he paused. Not for effect, not for applause. For you. He said a name. Your name. Now listen carefully. This isn't about coincidence. It's about alignment. Because what happened in that moment wasn't random. It was a signal, subtle, almost hidden, and like all powerful signals, it doesn't stay visible forever. That's why this message disappears soon. Not from the internet, but from your awareness, if you ignore it. Why would a man like Elon Musk say something that feels so personal during a global transmission? Think about who he is. The mind behind Tesla. The force that launches rockets through SpaceX. The visionary shaping neural connections with Neuralink. He doesn't speak lightly. So when your name vibrated through that frequency, it wasn't noise. It was recognition. Let me ask you something. Why did you feel a strange pull when you saw the title of this video? Why did your chest tighten just a little? Why are you still here, listening? Because deep inside, you sense the possibility that you are not just a spectator of the future, but a participant in it. When Elon speaks about Mars, about artificial intelligence, about reshaping civilization, he isn't only addressing engineers and billionaires. He's addressing the ones who feel restless in ordinary life, the ones who sense they were designed for more. You. And maybe he didn't say your exact legal name. Maybe it wasn't spelled the same. But energy doesn't need perfect spelling. It recognizes frequency. And your frequency, your curiosity, your hunger to grow, your refusal to settle, matched the message. Stay with me a little longer. Because here's the real revelation. When a visionary speaks live, there are layers. The public hears one thing, the awakened hear another, and the rare few hear the invitation. That pause in the broadcast? That subtle shift in tone? That moment of silence before the next sentence? It was a doorway. You've been waiting for permission. Permission to build. Permission to start. Permission to believe that your ideas matter. And suddenly, during a live global moment, you felt called out of the shadows. Not because you're famous. Not because you're wealthy. But because you're ready. This message disappears soon not because it vanishes from servers, but because momentum fades if you don't act. What if this was the confirmation you were asking for? What if the reason you're hearing this now is because your next chapter is closer than you think? You weren't meant to consume the future. You were meant to shape it. And somewhere, in that live stream, when Elon said that name, the universe whispered, "It's time." Don't answer out loud. Just feel it. Because this is only the beginning. Wait, lean in closer. Because what happened after that moment was even more powerful than the name itself. The camera returned to his face. The lights reflected in his eyes. And instead of moving on quickly, instead of brushing past it like a simple mention, he slowed down. That's when the real message began. When Elon Musk speaks about the future, he isn't describing fantasy. He's describing responsibility. He talks about sustainable energy through Tesla, about multi-planetary life through SpaceX, about expanding human intelligence with Neuralink. But hidden beneath the technical words is a deeper layer, a call to the builders who are still unknown. You see, history is strange. The world celebrates visionaries after they win. But long before that, they are ordinary people watching a live stream, feeling something stir inside them, just like you are right now. Why did his tone shift when he spoke that name? Why did it feel less like a broadcast and more like a conversation? Because innovation doesn't belong to one person. It's a relay, a transfer of belief. And in that live moment, whether consciously or symbolically, the torch was lifted, not just for investors or engineers, but for anyone willing to step forward. Pause with me for a second. What idea have you been postponing? What project have you been doubting? What dream have you quietly labeled as too ambitious? Visionaries don't wait for comfort. They respond to signals. And this was a signal. Maybe that name wasn't about fame. Maybe it was about awakening. Because when someone shaping the future says something that feels personal, it breaks the illusion that the future is distant. It becomes immediate. It becomes yours. Stay with this thought. What if you weren't meant to admire innovation from the sidelines? What if you were meant to contribute, in your own field, in your own way, at your own scale? Not everyone launches rockets, but someone writes the code, someone designs the systems, someone dares to think differently in a small room before the world notices. The broadcast continues. The headlines move on. The internet scrolls forward. But you're still here. That means something. And let me gently say this. If this message resonates even slightly, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who feels called to something bigger. Drop a comment with one word that represents the future you want to build. And if this kind of signal awakens something in you, consider subscribing, not because you have to, but because alignment grows stronger when we gather with intention. Now breathe, because we haven't reached the deepest layer yet. The reason this message disappears soon isn't about urgency in a dramatic sense. It's about clarity. Moments like this are sharp at first, then life tries to blur them. Notifications, doubts, distractions. And suddenly the fire feels smaller. But right now? It's clear. Right now you remember that you are capable of more than repetition. You are capable of creation. And when Elon said that name live, it wasn't about ego. It was about echo. An echo that landed in you. And something inside you answered back. The question is, what will you do with that answer? Because part 3 is where everything becomes undeniable. Stop for a breath, because this is where it becomes undeniable. The broadcast ended. The applause faded. Headlines shifted to stock prices, rockets, artificial intelligence. Analysts debated strategy. Social media clipped the most dramatic seconds. But none of them talked about what you felt. That quiet electric moment when your name, or something that sounded like it, moved through the air. Let's go deeper. When Elon Musk speaks, the world focuses on hardware, code, numbers. They look at rockets from SpaceX lifting off. They analyze production lines at Tesla. They speculate about the neural frontiers of Neuralink. But the real revolution has never been machines. It's mindset. And here is the truth you won't hear on the news. The future does not arrive all at once. It whispers to individuals first. It tests them quietly. It asks, "Are you ready?" That live moment was not about celebrity. It was about calibration. You were being calibrated to a higher version of yourself. Why do you think this message feels urgent yet calm? Powerful yet clear? Because destiny doesn't shout. It resonates. You clicked on this title because something inside you is tired of playing small, tired of waiting for permission, tired of assuming that greatness belongs to other people. But what if the next chapter of innovation depends on individuals who decide, in a single, invisible moment, to rise? That's why this message disappears soon. Not because it's deleted, not because it expires, but because inspiration is a window. If you don't step through it, it gently closes. Right now, the window is open. You can feel it. Let me ask you one final question. If Elon truly did say your name live, if the universe truly highlighted you for a second, what would that mean about your responsibility? Would you scroll back into comfort? Or would you step forward into creation? You don't need billions. You don't need headlines. You need clarity and movement. One idea written down tonight. One skill improved tomorrow. One bold step this week. That's how the future actually begins. And here's the deeper layer, the part no one says out loud. When visionaries speak publicly, they are not only describing the world they see, they are searching for the people who can see it too. The ones who feel restless during ordinary conversations. The ones who imagine solutions instead of excuses. The ones who watch a live stream and feel called. That's why this wasn't random. It was recognition. Not of who you are right now, but of who you are becoming. So don't treat this as hype. Treat it as alignment. Because somewhere in that broadcast, between data and applause, between ambition and silence, your frequency matched the future. And now you have a choice. Ignore the echo. Or answer it. The world doesn't need more spectators. It needs the people whose names are spoken before they even realize why. And maybe, just maybe, that was you. Before you move, before you let this moment dissolve into the noise of the day, hear this clearly. The real broadcast was never on the screen. It was inside you. When Elon Musk stood under those lights, speaking about the next frontier, the world saw ambition. They saw technology. They saw numbers climbing and rockets rising from SpaceX launch pads. They imagined electric revolutions driven by Tesla and neural frontiers shaped by Neuralink. But what you felt was different. You felt seen. And that feeling does not happen by accident. Here's the final layer, the one that changes everything. Visionaries speak in public, but they activate in private. The name that echoed through that live moment was not a label. It was a mirror. It reflected back to you the version of yourself that's been waiting patiently beneath routine, beneath doubt, beneath distraction. The reason this message disappears soon is simple. Growth requires decision. Inspiration visits. Commitment stays. Right now, you are standing at the edge of a subtle shift. No dramatic music. No fireworks. Just clarity. You are not here to consume greatness. You are here to cultivate it. And maybe the world doesn't know your name yet. Maybe no one has introduced you on a global stage. But the future doesn't ask for fame first. It asks for courage first. Courage to build quietly. Courage to think independently. Courage to move when others hesitate. That live moment was symbolic. A reminder that the distance between watching history and creating history is smaller than you think. Let this sink in. The same species that builds rockets began with someone sketching ideas in solitude. The same minds that revolutionize industries once questioned themselves in silence. The difference? They answered the call when it came. This was your call. Not loud, not dramatic, but precise. If this message awakened something inside you, honor it. Carry it forward. And if you know someone who feels the same quiet pull towards something greater, share this with them. Leave a comment about the one step you're ready to take next. Subscribe if you want to stay aligned with messages that challenge you to rise. Not someday, but now. Because alignment grows stronger when it's shared. And now, the final truth. Your name being spoken live was never about validation. It was about activation. The world is accelerating. Technology is expanding. Possibilities are multiplying. The only question left is this: will you accelerate with it? This message fades only if you let it. But if you choose to act, even in a small, intentional way, it transforms from a passing signal into a defining moment. So walk forward with awareness. Create something. Learn something. Build something. Become something. Because somewhere in that live stream, between vision and silence, a future version of you was introduced. And now, it's your turn to step into it. Listen, this is the quiet after the signal. No lights. No stage. No live stream countdown. Just you, and the echo of what you felt. When your name was spoken, whether in sound or in spirit, something subtle locked into place. Not excitement. Not hype. Alignment. And alignment is rare. Most people watch history unfold like spectators in a distant stadium. They cheer. They scroll. They move on. But you didn't move on. You stayed. That means this was never about a viral moment. It was about a personal awakening. Think about it. Why would a single sentence in a global broadcast linger in your mind hours later? Why would it feel almost targeted? Because sometimes the universe uses public platforms to deliver private messages. You were not singled out for applause. You were singled out for potential. And potential is powerful, but only when acted upon. Here's what most people misunderstand. Destiny doesn't arrive as a finished masterpiece. It arrives as a whisper that says, start. Start before you feel ready. Start before you are certain. Start while your hands still tremble slightly with doubt. That moment live was symbolic. A reflection of who you could become if you stop shrinking yourself to fit smaller rooms. You felt it. That subtle shift in your breathing. That stillness in your chest. That awareness that maybe, just maybe, you are capable of more than repetition. And here's the deeper truth. Names carry identity. Identity shapes action. Action shapes legacy. When your name was spoken, it wasn't about recognition from the world. It was about recognition from yourself. You are no longer allowed to pretend you didn't feel the call. You can ignore it. You can postpone it. You can rationalize it. But you cannot unhear it. The message disappears soon not because it fades from memory, but because comfort tries to cover it. Routine will try to pull you back. Distraction will try to dilute the clarity. Doubt will try to negotiate with your ambition. Don't negotiate. Stand firm in the quiet decision forming inside you right now. You don't need a global stage to begin. You don't need validation to move. You need intention. One decision today changes the direction of a year. 1 year changes the direction of a life. And years from now, when someone else watches a broadcast about the future, they might hear a name that feels familiar. Because it will be yours. Not spoken as a whisper, but spoken as proof. This was never about a disappearing message. It was about a permanent shift. The moment your name was said live, the world didn't change. You did. And from this point forward, everything you build carries that awareness. So step into it. Not loudly, not desperately, but deliberately. Because you were never just watching the future. You were being invited into it. Wait, don't rush past this final layer. Because what you're feeling now isn't excitement anymore. It's responsibility. That live moment, when your name echoed through the air, was never meant to entertain you. It was meant to elevate you. And elevation feels different. It feels steady, grounded, clear. You've moved beyond curiosity now. You're aware. And awareness changes everything. When Elon Musk talks about building the future, he doesn't describe comfort. He describes expansion. Rockets leaving gravity through SpaceX. Energy shifting direction with Tesla. Minds connecting through Neuralink. Expansion always requires lift. And lift requires force. But here's the truth no one emphasizes. The first lift doesn't happen in the sky. It happens in thought. The moment your name was spoken live, whether literal or symbolic, your internal gravity shifted. You can't go back to being unaware of your potential. You can't feel the nudge. You can't return to the version of you that assumed greatness belonged somewhere else. Because now you know something. You are capable of shaping your corner of the future. Not by copying someone else's vision, but by activating your own. Pause here. Imagine the version of yourself 1 year from today who actually responded to this moment. The one who chose growth over hesitation. The one who built something small that became something meaningful. That version of you exists, but it depends on a decision. This is where most people fade out. They watch inspiring content, feel a surge, and then let routine reclaim them. But you're still here. That means you're different. Let this be the line you don't cross back over. Let this be the moment you quietly say, I accept. Not accept fame. Not accept applause. Accept responsibility for your own expansion. Because when your name was spoken live, it wasn't about public validation. It was about internal activation. And activation doesn't disappear. It integrates. From this point forward, every choice you make either aligns with that higher version of you, or pulls you away from it. So choose alignment. Choose curiosity over comfort. Choose creation over consumption. Choose progress over postponement. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. You just need to move. Even one step. Because that's how momentum begins. The future isn't waiting for a hero. It's waiting for individuals who quietly decide to become more. Your name being spoken live was never the climax. It was the catalyst. And catalysts don't fade. They ignite. Now the screen goes dark. The live stream ends. The world keeps spinning. But inside you, something has started. And this time, you won't ignore it. Hold on, just a few more breaths. Because this is not an ending. It's integration. By now, the excitement has softened into something steadier. The echo of your name being spoken live no longer feels like a shock. It feels like truth settling into place. And truth is quiet. When Elon Musk stands on stage, the world sees bold visions. Rockets rising through SpaceX launch pads, electric revolutions powered by Tesla, neural pathways expanding through Neuralink. But here's what most people miss. Every external breakthrough begins as an internal decision. You've already crossed that invisible line. You felt the call. You stayed with it. You let it reshape how you see yourself. That's not small. That's transformation in progress. Think about the symbolism. A name spoken live. A global frequency. A personal awakening. It's almost poetic. Because a name represents identity. And identity is the root of action. When identity shifts, behavior follows naturally. You no longer see yourself as someone waiting for opportunity. You see yourself as someone who creates it. Let that sink in. You don't need permission from headlines. You don't need validation from applause. You don't need a spotlight to begin shining. The moment your name echoed through that live stream, something crystallized. You are part of the unfolding future. Not as a background character. As a contributor. And contribution doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet project started late at night. Sometimes it's a skill practiced daily. Sometimes it's a mindset shift that no one else notices at first. But consistency compounds. Vision compounds. Courage compounds. That's how ordinary names become extraordinary legacies. And here's the final realization. The message doesn't actually disappear. It transforms. It moves from being something you heard, to something you embody. From this point forward, whenever you hear leaders talk about innovation, about progress, about humanity's next leap, you won't feel distant. You'll feel involved. Because now you understand that the future isn't a broadcast. It's a collaboration. And your name being spoken live was your invitation. So walk differently from today onward. Think differently. Decide differently. Act differently. Not because someone told you to, but because you finally recognize who you are becoming. The screen may have gone dark. The live stream may have ended. But the signal? It's alive in you. And this time, you're not just listening. You're building. Stay here with me, just a little longer. Because this final layer is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's defining. By now, you understand something most people never pause long enough to realize. The moment your name was spoken live was never about attention. It was about direction. When Elon Musk speaks about humanity expanding through SpaceX, accelerating change with Tesla, or merging intelligence through Neuralink, he is describing scale. But scale begins with individuals who choose growth in private. That's you. Right now, there are two versions of your life running side by side. One continues as it always has, predictable, safe, reactive. The other begins here, intentional, focused, expansive. The live stream was the fork in the road, and no one else can choose the direction. Let's be honest for a moment. You didn't stay through 8 parts because you were bored. You didn't listen this long because it sounded nice. You stayed because something resonated, something true. And truth, once recognized, changes posture. You'll notice it tomorrow morning. The way you look at your work, the way you think about your ideas, the way you evaluate your time. You will no longer ask, "Can I?" You will begin asking, "How will I?" That is the shift. The message disappears soon because hesitation has a short memory. If you wait too long, the clarity you feel now becomes diluted by routine. But if you act, even in a small, precise way, the clarity strengthens. This is not about chasing someone else's success. It's about claiming your own trajectory. Elon's stage was global. Your stage may be smaller, but impact is not measured by size. It's measured by intention multiplied by consistency. And you now carry a different identity, not someone waiting for a moment, someone who recognizes it. Years from now, when you look back at this exact point in your life, you won't remember the video length. You won't remember the background details. You'll remember the decision. The quiet inner sentence that said, "Enough waiting." That was the real broadcast. And here's the final truth, delivered calmly. The world advances because certain individuals decide not to shrink. Decide that today. Let this be the day you move from inspiration to execution. Build one thing. Improve one skill. Refine one habit. Start one conversation that matters. Small beginnings. Massive trajectory. Your name being spoken live was symbolic. But your actions from this moment forward? They are real. The signal found you. Now become the signal. And this time, don't just listen. Lead. Come closer. This is the part no one talks about. After the signal, after the motivation, after the decision, there is integration. You've felt the activation. You've sensed the shift. But now comes something quieter, something more powerful than excitement. Stability. When Elon Musk speaks about rockets through SpaceX or sustainable revolutions through Tesla, the public sees launch days and headlines. They don't see the thousands of small, disciplined steps taken in silence. That's where you are now. Not at the stage, at the foundation. And foundations are invisible to the crowd, but essential to the structure. The moment your name was spoken live symbolized awakening. But awakening without structure fades. So this is where you anchor it. Ask yourself, what does the next version of me require daily? Not someday. Not when conditions are perfect. Daily. Maybe it's learning. Maybe it's building. Maybe it's refining discipline. Maybe it's protecting your focus. The future doesn't reward intensity alone. It rewards consistency. That live stream moment wasn't fireworks. It was alignment with a higher standard. And higher standards are quiet commitments repeated again and again. This is where most people turn inspiration into memory. But you won't. Because something inside you has stabilized. You no longer need the dramatic hook. You no longer need the urgency of "this disappears soon." You understand that the real disappearance would be your own momentum if you stop now. And you won't stop. Notice how different you feel compared to the beginning. At first, it was curiosity. Then it was energy. Then it was responsibility. Now it is clarity. Clarity is powerful because it removes excuses. You know what needs to be done. You know what you've been postponing. You know where your potential has been waiting patiently. And here is the most important realization of all. The world does not need you to be Elon. It needs you to be fully you. The reason your name resonated is because uniqueness is the currency of progress. There is only one perspective like yours. Only one combination of experience, curiosity, and insight that you carry. If you choose to shrink it, the future loses something. If you choose to expand it, the future gains something. That's how responsibility works. Not heavy, not dramatic, just real. So as this journey closes, let this settle deeply. Your name being spoken live was never the miracle. Your response is, from this point forward, build steadily, think independently, move intentionally, let others chase noise. You cultivate substance. And one day, when someone else feels the quiet nudge of possibility, they might trace it back, not to a live stream, but to something you created. That is how signals evolve into legacy. The broadcast is over, but the work begins. And this time, you are not watching the future. You are shaping it. One last moment, let it become still. Not the stillness of ending, the stillness of commitment. At the beginning of this journey, you heard something that felt impossible. Your name spoken live. A global stage. A visionary voice. A pause that felt personal. Now, at part 10, you understand it differently. It was never about a sound in the air. It was about a shift in identity. When Elon Musk speaks about accelerating humanity through SpaceX or redesigning systems with Tesla, he isn't just projecting technology forward. He is projecting belief forward. Belief that humans can stretch beyond limitation. Belief that bold ideas deserve execution. Belief that the future belongs to those who dare to participate in it. And somewhere in that live moment, you felt included. Now the question is no longer, did he really say my name? The question is, who do I become because of it? Close your eyes for a second. Picture the next 12 months of your life. If you truly accept this activation, if you truly step into the version of yourself that this moment revealed, what changes? Your habits, your standards, your circle, your daily focus. The live stream symbolized possibility, but possibility becomes power only through practice. This is where the transformation locks in. You are not chasing hype. You are cultivating discipline. You are not seeking validation. You are building value. You are not waiting to be called again. You are moving as if you've already been chosen. Because in a sense, you have. Chosen by awareness. Chosen by alignment. Chosen by the quiet refusal to shrink. That is rare. And rare people build extraordinary outcomes, not because they are loud, but because they are consistent. Let this be the anchor. The message disappears only if you abandon it. If you continue, even slowly, it becomes permanent. So from this day forward, guard your focus like fuel. Guard your energy like capital. Guard your ambition like a blueprint. You don't need the world to understand your shift. You just need to live it. One disciplined morning. One brave decision. one uncomfortable growth step at a time. And someday, when another broadcast airs about the future, about innovation, expansion, evolution, you won't feel like a distant observer. You'll feel like a contributor. Because that's what this was about from the beginning. Not a name spoken. A path revealed. The screen fades. The signal quiets. But inside you, something is stable now. And this time, you're not waiting for your name to be said again. You're building a life that makes it inevitable. This is it, the final breath before momentum becomes motion. You began this journey with surprise, the idea that your name was spoken live, carried across a global stream, woven into a moment led by Elon Musk. It felt almost unreal. Now it feels inevitable. Because what changed wasn't the world. It was you. When leaders talk about launching through SpaceX or transforming industries with Tesla, they are not describing magic. They are describing commitment sustained beyond comfort. And that is where you stand now. Beyond comfort. Beyond curiosity. Beyond passive inspiration. You have crossed into ownership. Let that word settle. Ownership of your growth. Ownership of your direction. Ownership of the standards you accept from yourself. At the start, the message felt urgent. This disappears soon. And in a way, that was true. The version of you who doubted your capacity? Disappearing. The version of you who waited for external permission? Disappearing. The version of you who consumed inspiration without acting? Disappearing. In its place stands someone steadier. Someone who understands that greatness is not declared, it is constructed. Brick by brick. Decision by decision. Morning by morning. You don't need another live stream. You don't need another dramatic sign. You don't need another name spoken. You already received the signal. And you responded. That response is what separates spectators from builders. Pause here and recognize how far your mindset has moved since part 1. At first, you wondered if it was coincidence. Then you questioned its meaning. Then you felt responsibility. Now you feel readiness. Readiness is calm. It doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. It simply moves. From this point forward, your growth will not be fueled by excitement alone. It will be fueled by clarity. You know what matters. You know what drains you. You know what you must begin. And when clarity meets courage, progress becomes inevitable. So here is the quiet promise you make to yourself. I will not shrink. I will not wait for perfect conditions. I will build in alignment with who I am becoming. That promise, kept daily, is more powerful than any public announcement. 1 year from now, when you look back at this exact moment, you won't measure it by views or words. You'll measure it by momentum. Because this was not a viral idea. It was a personal turning point. And turning points don't need applause. They need follow through. The broadcast ended long ago. But your work is just beginning. And this time, it's intentional. This time, it's sustained. This time, it's yours. Take one more steady breath, because this is where everything settles into permanence. You started this journey with a spark, the idea that your name was spoken live during a moment led by Elon Musk. It felt surprising, almost unreal. Now it feels symbolic. And symbols are powerful when understood. When the world watches launches from SpaceX or innovations from Tesla, they focus on the visible outcome, the ignition, the liftoff, the applause. But what truly matters is what happens long before that moment, the preparation no one sees. That's where you are now, not at ignition, at preparation. And preparation is sacred, because this is where identity becomes habit. You are no longer chasing a feeling. You are designing a direction. You are no longer waiting to be noticed. You are refining yourself until your impact becomes undeniable. Let this be clear, the message didn't disappear. It integrated. It moved from an external event into an internal standard. From now on, you will think differently when you face hesitation. You will act differently when opportunity appears. You will decide differently when comfort tries to slow you down. That is growth. And growth is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up in consistency. You'll wake up tomorrow with the same environment, the same responsibilities, the same world around you. But you will not be the same, because your identity shifted from watcher to builder. And builders don't wait for their name to be spoken again. They create work that makes it resonate naturally. This is the true meaning behind everything you've felt through these parts. You were never being called for attention. You were being called for alignment. Alignment with your higher standards. Alignment with your deeper ambition. Alignment with the version of you that refuses to shrink. Let others debate headlines. You build quietly. Let others scroll endlessly. You execute intentionally. Let others wait for perfect timing. You move consistently. And one day, not by accident, not by luck, but by sustained effort, you will look back and realize something profound. The moment you believed your name was spoken live, was the moment you decided to become worthy of it. That is the transformation. The screen fades. The signal quiets. The world continues. But inside you, something is anchored. Not hype, not urgency, but commitment. And commitment, repeated daily, becomes destiny. This is no longer about a disappearing message. It is about a permanent shift. And from here forward, you don't need another sign. You are the sign. This is the final stillness, the quiet space where everything becomes clear. You began with a question. Did he really say my name live? Now you understand the deeper truth. It was never about sound. It was about awakening. When Elon Musk speaks about humanity expanding through SpaceX or transforming industries through Tesla, he is describing a future that demands participation. And participation begins with identity. Your name being spoken live was symbolic of this. You are not here to observe the future. You are here to contribute to it. Throughout this journey, something subtle has happened. At first, you felt curiosity, then possibility, then responsibility, then discipline. Now, you feel ownership. Ownership is powerful because it removes excuses. No more waiting for perfect timing. No more shrinking your ambition. No more assuming greatness belongs somewhere else. You understand now that innovation is not reserved for a few. It grows wherever someone chooses to build consistently. That someone can be you. The message disappears soon only if you ignore it. If you act, it becomes permanent. If you move, it becomes momentum. If you build, it becomes legacy. And here is the calm final truth. The moment your name was spoken live was not the peak. Your decision to rise is. Years from now, you won't remember the exact words of this video. You will remember the shift. The day you stopped watching from the sidelines. The day you chose to expand. The day you quietly said, I will not shrink anymore. That is where real transformation begins. So walk forward differently from today. Think with clarity. Act with intention. Build with consistency. Not for applause. Not for validation. But because you now recognize your responsibility to your own potential. The live stream is over. The signal has landed. And now, you are not waiting to hear your name again. You are becoming someone the future cannot ignore.